Always a good time having my next guest on the program. It's Kurt Holobaugh, who you can see back in action on July the 20th at UFC Vegas 94 when he takes on Kaynan Kruschewsky. Kurt, how you doing?
Good, man. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, it was good talking to you. And I know yesterday was a big day. It's Father's Day. I'm sure you did something fun with the family. Happy Father's Day to you. What did you get into
Thanks.
with the fam?
So I actually came straight from Canada Saturday night. I had a guy that I coached at the Unified fights up there in Canada. So I came straight home. My wife picked me up Saturday night and we did the Matt Rife show in New Orleans, which is a comedian that's just starting to get pretty famous, funny guy. So been a fan of him. So we went and hit the Matt Rife show Saturday night, and then Sunday morning, we took my boat, me and the boys and my wife, and we went out on the lake and did some catfishing.
Very cool. Yeah, it's funny. Saturday night, I was at a comedy show too. I was seeing Bob Marley up here
Okay.
in Maine. What is that comedian that you saw? What is his I guess brand of humor like?
Um, he roasts a lot of the some of the crowd. I guess he's always messing with some of the people in the crowd. You know, people front row. He'll just ask questions and then he'll kind of roast them from there. He's a pretty funny guy though. I've started listening to some of his stuff probably a couple months ago and become a fan of him. And my wife even mentioned that hey, he's coming to New Orleans like June 15th, and I'm like, shoot, man, I won't be back from Canada until that night. So she picked me up and she was all dressed up and stuff. I'm still in all my fight wear. And she's like, here, we got tickets. Let's go. So I'm like, all right, let's go.
Very
Cool.
cool. I don't know if you were sitting close, but if you're still in your fight gear, I mean, I don't know if he follows, combat sports, but if he recognized you, probably wouldn't be a great idea to start roasting you. But what would that be like for you? Like, how would you handle that in a situation where maybe like you'd be a target?
No, man, that's I would have loved it. And actually, funny story, we were pretty close. Whatever site my wife ordered the tickets off of messed up badly and our tickets wouldn't work at first. And we was one of the first ones in line. So our tickets wouldn't work, but I was very close enough that he could have probably seen me. Um, but our tickets wouldn't work. So finally, after the whole line goes in, we finally get everything straight with our tickets where there's somebody else in our seats that have the same tickets as us. So we actually wind up getting to watch the show, just not in the seats that we originally had. Our original seats was a lot better. I could have possibly got roasted, but yeah, I don't know.
All right.
It
Well,
would have been fun though.
yeah, yeah. Well, it sounds like you had a good weekend. I got some of like the last tickets at the show that went to, so we were kind of in the back. So no roasting on our end. But again, sounds like you had a good weekend. I wanted to, wish you a happy Father's Day. It has been, I guess, a little while since we saw you last in action. We got to go back to March. What has life been like for you since then? Have you been, in the gym mostly, or have you, done anything outside of MMA training?
Not a whole bunch outside of MMA training, you know. Me and my family, my wife, my kids, we have two mixed martial arts gyms, and that's our job. We're there every day, uh, 5 days a week, you know, unless I'm having to travel somewhere. And I stay consistently training, maybe not fight camp training, but I'm never out of the gym. Every night I train with my guys. Doesn't matter, white belt, blue belt, purple belt, black belt. I'm always training with my guys and still constantly sparring on our sparring days. Every now and then I do like to take some time off, either barbecue at home or go fishing, which I've been doing a lot of. Hadn't really got to play as much golf as I would have liked to, but hopefully after this fight, maybe I can get some golf time in.
Very cool. I had no idea that you're a golfer. I'm trying to get better at it, but man, that's a tough sport. What do you think for someone that's just starting out to play golf or fighting? How would you try? I know they're so different, but how would you even try and compare those two sports?
Golf is probably the most mental sport ever. It's like you could be having a great day, but you mess up one shot, one hole, that might just ruin your whole day, your whole game. So I don't know. Of course, they're much different. Um, Losing in golf hurts a lot less.
Fair enough. That's a great way to sum it up. Let's talk about the last fight a little bit. I know, you came on the show and when we previewed a couple of big UFC pay-per-views recently. So we talked a little bit about the Trey Ogden loss, but analyze it a little bit more for me now. Now that some more time has passed, looking back on it, is it as simple as, maybe working on, getting back up to your feet when you're on your back against someone as good as Trey? Like what's the huge takeaway from that one?
Yeah, it's just not set on those positions, and it's another thing, you show up to fight night and you hope that you're feeling good. You hope your body's feeling good. You hope you're healthy. I think a lot of other things went into that fight other than skill. There were some complications on and off, but no excuses. I think just not settling in those positions and just trying to be better, trying to be better and get to your feet whenever you're down.
At this stage of your career, I mean, I can't imagine that maybe you're going to be dead set on wanting to get like an immediate rematch or a rematch with someone maybe that you come up short against. But run me through your mindset, now at, 37 years old, I believe you are, when you do suffer an L. Is it still kind of like, does it still sting you? Like, I want to get back in there and avenge that quickly.
For sure. And right after this, I knew I wasn't at my best for that fight against Trey. So right after that fight was done, and the thing about it is, it's been since 2019 since I've lost a fight. Right, I've been on like a 5-fight win streak. So it's almost like in that short period of time, I forgot how the loss feels. I forgot how to lose. Boy, I forgot how to lose, and so right away I hit Brian Hamper up, Brian Butler, Chris Creech, and I'm like, man, look, I don't want to be out 7 months again because it was from the Austin Hubbard to Trey Ogden was like a 7 month gap. And I'm like, throw me back in. I'm ready to go, man. Get me on the International Fight Week card. I wanted to be on the Chandler and McGregor card. I'm like, I'm ready to go right now. Like, put me back in, see what they got. And it wasn't long that they hit me up and said, here, well, they have this. You want it? And I'm like, I ain't going to turn it down.
Yeah, well, we're excited to see you back in there, especially and I guess another tough opponent. You mentioned McGregor Chandler, so let me just ask you, will that fight ever happen?
I hope so. But as of right now, it's kind of looking like, Michael Chandler should probably just say, screw it, let me get somebody else. And but I don't know. No, nobody really knows the extent. I haven't really talked to Chandler or anything, so I can't, really elaborate on anything. But I don't know, man. It's one of those things. We've been waiting a long time, and we still hadn't got it yet. So I could only imagine how Chandler feels.
I go back to, Connor. I think he was talking to Chad Mendez when he's like, I'll change your bum life, fighting me, it's a celebration. And it's the truth, kind of like, because he's such a huge star. He's probably still the biggest star in combat sports. So, I mean, if you were Michael Chandler, would you continue to just kind of wait? If Connor's saying, yes, I'm going to come back, I'm going to fight you, much longer would you wait?
I think in Connor and in Chandler's position, it's really up to him. I mean, he doesn't need to fight, right? And he's already done so much in the sport. He's already a global superstar in the UFC. So I don't think he needs to fight. I think for him, it's just him wanting that fight with Connor. Uh, of course, I don't think a fight gets any bigger than that for Chandler. So if I'm Chandler, I'm probably just gonna, wait it out, man. Just keep doing what you're doing. You already waited what, almost 2 years. What's another couple months? So,
Yeah.
Especially if I'm sure Chandler knows more than we do, but yeah, if I'm Chandler, I'm waiting on it.
I mean, Connor, we saw the nasty injury that he had. Do you think he's ever going to be the same again?
Man, who knows? I mean, you see a lot of those guys that have injuries like that, and you see how they came back. Some of them are never the same. You look at Chris Wyman, you look at Anderson Silva, you look at a lot of those guys. I mean, were they really the same after the leg break? So I mean, you just don't know. But Connor's Connor, man. He's done a lot already, and who's to say that he can't come back and pick up right where he left off?
I wasn't surprised to see that the fight was canceled again, because I don't know if you saw the video of him out partying and he's, ripping his shirt off and, drinking bottles. like I think all night long. I mean, I just feel like when you're training for a monster fight like that, that kind of footage, it's not a good look. Like, do you feel like this is something that really could prevent him if he continues to do it from, not just competing at the high level, but like if even if he's fighting a guy like mid tier, like he might have problems with guys like that, even if he's not being 100% true to his training.
No, I think that's 100%. And one thing I've said, man, like guys like me and guys that are coming up from the ground up that aren't rich, right? Like Connor, there was a time when Connor wasn't rich, and you see how that motivates you to be the best in the world. But sometimes, like I even think, man, if I had $1 million in the bank, you know, how what would I quit on myself if I'm in a fight? How hard am I really gonna fight whenever, at this point in time, if it's Connor, he ain't fighting for money. He's fighting kind of for a legacy to be the best fighter in the world. Um, so I don't know. It's hard to say.
Yeah. Well, it'll be interesting to see what happens here moving forward. Just to stick with the lightweight division right now, Makachev beats Poirier. Wow, what a great fight that was! And Dustin really, he came to fight. He had some good moments there. When he walks off and he retires, what do you think Poirier's legacy will be?
Um, Definitely one of the greatest fighters in the UFC, one of the most hardest working guys in the UFC. And Dustin's a guy that we was fighting amateur on the same card. So to just to see, and it's guys like Dustin that's gave me the motivation to do what I've done in my career. So, I mean, it's great to see something like that, man. And I think he's definitely going down in the history books as one of the best fighters ever.
This might be tough to kind of like gauge, but when I saw him, fight Connor for the first time to now, he's so evolved. He's like a different person. Do you think it was more mental or his actual skill set that was more important?
Um, Probably a little bit of both. A lot of times, you're kind of caught up, especially when you're like me or Dustin. You're a broke kid in a small town that that don't really have it. But for Dustin, he had Tim. Tim kind of laid that way for him to on the Ultimate Fighter and then going and fighting the UFC. So Tim showed him it was possible, and then for me, Dustin and Tim and guys like that showed me it was possible to do what I did. But sometimes it's kind of hard because you don't know that you can compete with some of these guys. You sit at home and you watch all these guys on TV forever, and then next thing you know, you're in the UFC and you're in the octagon fighting these guys. So I think it has a little bit to do with both. But Dustin's always had great skill, and I mean, moving out to ATT and doing what he's done out there has really upped his game a lot.
Do you ever talk to Dustin these days?
Only if I see him locally at home or one of the local shows that we have that I have some guys fighting on. I might chat with him, but I don't see him much.
Mhm. Yeah, it seems like a really nice guy. I hope we get to see him back in the octagon again soon, and he has a couple more fights at least because he really is must see TV. Having said all that, Kurt, right now, who can beat Islam? Is there anybody right now that you think can beat him at 155, or should he go to 170?
For Islam, probably I would say he's probably needs to move up to 170. I mean, you got a couple guys that are coming up, but I don't know, man. I mean, it's all part of the fight game. I mean, the closest we've seen Islam losing was to Alexander Volkanovski, and but besides that, I mean, Dustin gave him a pretty good fight in the last fight, but nobody's really been close. So I don't know, man. I mean, you still got Oliveira, you got Armin, whatever his name is. A couple guys, but I don't know.
Yeah, I wouldn't be mad if the UFC matched up Gaethje and Chandler. If Connor's going to be out for a while, match those two up again, give them the rematch, and a winner could be like a number one contender, title shot spot. What do you think of that?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. But I mean, you still got Max Holloway too, but Max is probably going to fight Ilya, which is going to be a crazy fight. But I don't know, man. There's so many things the UFC can do that kind of make sense.
Yeah. Well, one thing's for certain, the lightweight division is as good and deep as it's ever been. One more topic I want to ask you before we transition to this upcoming fight here. Obviously, the new season of The Ultimate Fighter is out now. You got Shevchenko and Grasso as the coaches. Are you watching it? Is it something that you're paying attention to again for this season?
Yeah, being that I was on the show, I really wanted to watch this season just to kind of see because I've watched all the Ultimate Fighters before, but I never really, you don't know how hard it is in there. So I wanted to watch the season just to compare it to my season. And so far, man, I think our season was way better. Like, I don't know. I'm having a hard time getting into it, to be honest with you. I'm trying to, find somebody on the show that I want to root for and connect with a little bit. But I don't know, man. I'm not really feeling it.
I think it's just because there's not as many Americans. There's so many foreigners. So like for us here, you want to kind of connect with, people that you can relate to a little bit more. Do you think that has something to do with maybe like the fan base here in the US?
Yeah, it's possible. And I think they got two Americans on there. Um, but I don't know. It just seems like the show's a little bit different than last time. I mean, you're not you're not really getting to see a whole bunch. You don't really get to see what goes on in the house. You get to see little bits and pieces, but I just feel like it's kind of rushed. Maybe I don't know. Maybe that's the word I'm looking for.
Well, it's only what, 3 episodes in now, or this upcoming week will be
Yep.
3 episodes in, so still plenty of fights left to go. Maybe it'll turn around. But yeah, your season was awesome, man. That was one of the better ones in a really long time. So it'd be tough to top that. Tell me, as far as training camp goes, to get you ready for Kaynan. Very, very proficient on the ground. I think he has 9 submission victories. Has this been a camp where, it's been geared more towards, stuffing takedowns, working your jujitsu? I mean, I know you're so high level with BJJ anyways, but what has this camp been like so far?
So far this camp's been a lot of strength and conditioning training. I'm just trying to get stronger and stronger in my legs, stronger in my core to be able to create that space to get to my feet. Um, but I mean, it's just like any normal training camp. I'm training hard, just trying to prepare for every position that possible that I can be in. I definitely think Canyon's going to be a tough task. Um, I think he has a good jiu-jitsu black belt. Most of his submission wins came from guys taking him down, I believe, though. So we'll see how it is. I don't think he doesn't wrestle a whole bunch. He will try to, I guess, a little bit. Depends on it, how touched up he's getting on the feet. But yeah, it's just normal training camp, working hard and always trying to get better.
You mentioned the strength and conditioning. When you look at Kaynan, do you feel like this guy's on par with the strength of Trey Ogden? I mean, if you're in a similar position to what Trey puts you in, can Kaynan keep you there?
No way. There's just no way. Man, I fought a lot of people. A lot of tough guys. I fought guys in Russia. I fought guys in Brazil. I fought Thiago Moises, and I gotta say, man, Trey Ogden felt stronger than every one of those guys. I've never had a guy take me down and then I just wasn't able to get back up, and I wasn't. Trey Ogden had 3 takedowns, one every round. Wasn't able to get back up not one time, which surprised me a little bit. Um, so yeah, man, I don't see him being nowhere near as strong as Trey Ogden. I think he can grapple, but his grappling is going to be more jiu-jitsu based grappling, I believe. It's not going to be wrestling based. For control, I think he's going to move a lot more. So he'll allow me a lot more space, and he'll allow me to be able to move under him too. And that's if the fight hits the ground.
Mhm. Have you had any training partners that are, I guess, very similar to Kaynan that you can work with a little bit more?
So we're not really similar to Kanan, I guess. But I mean, I got some training partners that are tall, long. Um, I mean, Brennan Allen comes over, beats me up here and there. He's somebody I would compare to Trey Ogden the way his ground control is when he's on top of you. Normally when Brennan puts me down, I don't move a whole bunch.
He's also a
So
middleweight. He's a beast.
yeah, yeah, he's strong, man. He's big and strong. But yeah, I mean, but as far as Canyon, I have a lot of guys that are black belts in jiu-jitsu that's gonna move kind of like Kaynan. Um, so we'll see. But yeah, I think I got some good training partners to help out with that.
He's only 0-1 in the UFC. So just one UFC fight, obviously the Contender Series victory. But one thing that kind of stands out the page, I guess, when you look at the names that each one of you have fought, is seems like you've been in there with a lot higher level competition. Am I wrong by saying that? Do you feel like that could be a factor in this fight?
I think it's a huge factor, the fact because I've been there and I've fought so many tough guys, and I think that's really helped me, and that's what helped me out throughout the Ultimate Fighter. You know, I'm here with all these guys, and I'm like, bro, I've fought so many tough guys in my career, and so I mean, I think that helped me out throughout the show, and I think it's gonna help me out here too, um, because I mean, he really hasn't fought anybody, you know. His toughest guy was probably the Contender Series guy, Dylan Mantello, which I had one of my guys fought him twice. So, and Dylan made a huge mistake in that fight. I mean, he got taken down and just with no regards gets up and just didn't respect Kaynan's grappling, I guess, one bit. So he got up, turned his back, and just literally let him jump to the back, which I think I'm a lot smarter than that if that fight goes that way. So yeah, man, we'll see.
And we know how good you are on the feet. You got a lot of power. You're very precise with the combinations that you throw. That one UFC fight that he did have, he was knocked out in the first round by Elves Brenner. Is this going to be a similar outcome to this fight? Do you feel like you're going to catch him and put him out?
I hope so. And one thing I can say about Kaynan, man, he comes to fight. He's gonna come. He's gonna come to fight. He's gonna throw hands. He's gonna try to come forward, which that's what I like, and that's the styles that I really do well against. So I think this is a very good fight for me. It's a very good fight for the fans. I think this fight definitely has potential to either be a performance or a fight of the night.
Do you have an official prediction?
I do think I'm going to knock him out. I think because I think he's going to come in, he's going to want to go toe to toe, and like I said, that's what I like. And I think I'm very good in and out. I'm very good in the pocket. And I can make guys miss and I cover. I don't take a lot of damage when I'm on the feet. So I think I'll wind up catching him. He seems like he's got a trigger, man. If you watch his knockouts, he's never just been like TKO'd. Every time he's knocked out, he goes face first. So he's got like a trigger up there. You hit that trigger, he's gonna go to sleep.
Can't wait to see you back in there, Kurt. Last thing for me before we get out of here today. Can you tell me, have you decided on a walkout song? Is there something that you've kind of got your mindset on for this walkout?
Man, I don't know yet. I might just go back to the song that I've been walking out to a couple times. I walked out to I think Never by Vancore or something like that, a song that was played on The Ultimate Fighter when I was getting out of the van to fight Lee Hammond the first time. My son Zayden's walked out to it a couple times. And so I told him I would walk out to it last time. Lately, though, throughout my 2019 and up my win streak, I was walking out to Take It Outside by Brantley Gilbert. So I might just go back to that, man. I'm winning with that, so might just go back.
Okay, very good. Well, excited to see you back in there, Kurt. Again, July the 20th, UFC Vegas 94. Kurt the Hurt Holobaugh back in action against Kaynan Kruschewsky. Always good talking to you, my man. Before we do sign off, I want to give you the floor. Anything you want to plug, anyone you want to thank, floor is yours.
Yeah, just thank my sponsors, Hatchet Industry, Creole Tomato, A Game, my team, Grace United, Port City, my management, Sucker Punch. Couldn't do it without all those guys.